If you have a checking account, and most of you do, there are 3 new rules that just went into effect, and nobody's talking about them the way they should be. Not your bank, not your financial advisor, not the news. But these rules, they could change how your money moves, how much of it you actually keep, and, in some cases, whether your account stays open at all. So today we're breaking all 3 of them down. Plain English, no jargon. Just what you need to know, and what you need to do before it catches you off guard. Here's something most people don't realize. Seniors are the most targeted group in the country when it comes to banking policy changes. Why? Because statistically, seniors hold more in checking and savings accounts than any other age group. You're not parking your money in crypto. You're not day trading. You're keeping your money where you were always told to keep it. In the bank. Liquid. Accessible. Safe. And that's exactly why these new rules hit harder for you than for anyone else. Because the system wasn't designed with your habits in mind. It was designed around a younger generation that banks differently, swipes a card for everything, uses apps, gets paid by direct deposit every 2 weeks without fail. But a lot of you, you're dealing with Social Security deposits, pension checks, maybe a little side income, maybe a check from a family member every month. And these 3 new rules treat those patterns differently than they used to. So let's get into it. Here's one that's already affecting people, and most don't even know it happened. Banks have quietly shortened the window for what they consider a NEPT account. It used to be that your account needed to go 12 to 24 months without a transaction before the bank would flag it as dormant. That gave you breathing room. If you were in the hospital, if you were traveling, if you just didn't need to touch that account for a while, it was fine. That window has been tightened. Many banks, including some of the biggest names you'd recognize, have moved that threshold down. Some are now flagging accounts with as little as 6 months of no transaction activity. And once your account is flagged as dormant, the fees start: maintenance fees, inactivity fees, statement fees that you never agreed to but are suddenly appearing. And here's where it gets serious. If the account stays dormant long enough, the bank can, and in many states, is legally required to turn those funds over to the state under what's called the unclaimed property law. That's called escapement. Your money doesn't disappear, but getting it back is a process. Forms, proof of identity, waiting periods. It's your money, but suddenly, it doesn't feel like it. What you should do right now: log into your account, or call your bank, and make at least one small transaction every few months if you have an account you don't use regularly. A single transfer, a small purchase, even a deposit of $1, that resets the clock. That keeps your account alive. You shouldn't have to fight your own bank for your own money. But until this gets fixed, a small transaction is your best protection. This one surprised even us when we first saw it. New anti-fraud detection systems, rolled out across major banks over the last 12 months, are flagging certain deposit patterns as suspicious. And the deposit pattern that's getting flagged most often: irregular deposits. Deposits that vary in amount. Deposits from multiple sources. In other words, a lot of the ways seniors actually receive their money. Your Social Security comes in reliably, but maybe your pension varies slightly. Maybe you get a check from one of your kids. Maybe you have a small online income or a reimbursement that hits the account differently each month. Maybe you recently changed your Social Security direct deposit from one bank to another. To a human eye, that's normal life. To an algorithm, it's a red flag. Banks aren't required to tell you when your account has been flagged for review. They're not required to notify you before they freeze a portion of your funds while they investigate. And in some cases, seniors have had their debit cards temporarily suspended with no warning, right in the middle of a purchase. That's not a horror story. That's what's been reported to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau in growing numbers over the last year. Here's the practical fix. If your deposit situation has changed recently, new income source, new bank, change in the amount you receive, call your bank's customer service line and tell them. Proactively flagging yourself sounds counterintuitive, but it actually builds a record with the bank that says, "This customer knows what's happening. This is expected. Leave it alone." You can also request a note be added to your account explaining your deposit structure. Most senior customers don't know you can do this. You can. It won't guarantee your account never gets reviewed, but it significantly reduces the chance of a freeze hitting you without warning. We have to talk about overdraft, because the overdraft landscape just shifted, and this one could cost you money you don't even realize you're spending. Here's the background. In 2023 and 2024, there was a major push to reform overdraft fees. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau proposed capping overdraft fees at $5. Some banks voluntarily lowered their fees. There was real momentum toward protecting consumers, then the regulatory environment shifted, and several of those proposed protections were rolled back before they ever went into effect. What that means for you right now: some banks have reinstated higher overdraft fees. Some have brought back extended overdraft fees. That's a fee they charge you. Every single day, your account stays in the negative, on top of the original overdraft fee. And here's what makes this particularly dangerous for seniors. A lot of you, and this is not a criticism, this is just the reality, set up automatic payments years ago and then stopped monitoring them closely. A streaming service you forgot about, a subscription that auto-renewed, a medication reorder that's set to bill automatically. You go a few days into a small negative balance without realizing it. The original overdraft fee hits. Then the daily extended fee starts stacking. By the time your Social Security deposit comes in and covers the balance, you might have lost $30, $40, even $60 in fees on an overdraft that was only $12 to begin with. That's legal, and it's happening every month to people who have no idea. What to do? First, check whether your bank offers overdraft protection linked to a savings account. Most do, and many will move the money for free or for a tiny fee. Set that up if you haven't. Second, call your bank and ask them to walk you through their current overdraft fee structure. Not what it was, what it is right now. Banks are required to disclose this when you ask. Third, set up low balance alerts. Every major bank has this. You tell it, when my account drops below $100, send me a text. That one alert has saved people hundreds of dollars a year in overdraft fees they never saw coming. You noticed it, didn't you? None of these rules were announced on the news. None of them came with a letter in the mail that said, "Attention seniors, here's what's changing." They were buried in policy updates, terms of service amendments, and regulatory changes that got 3 seconds of coverage and then disappeared. That's not an accident. Banks count on the fact that most people don't read the fine print. They count on the fact that most people won't call to ask. They count on inertia. And for seniors specifically, a demographic that was raised to trust institutions, to keep money in the bank, to not make a fuss, that inertia is being exploited. You deserve better. You've paid into a system your entire life. You've earned the right to keep what's yours, without a bank algorithm deciding you look suspicious, or without an overdraft fee stack quietly draining your account while you sleep. 1. Make a transaction on every checking account you have that you don't use regularly, even a small one. Reset that inactivity clock. 2. Call your bank and let them know if your deposit situation has changed in the last year. Get it on the record. Ask for a note on your account. 3. Ask your bank to walk you through their current overdraft fee policy. And set up a low balance alert today. Don't wait until it hits you. These are not complicated steps. They don't cost anything. But they could save you from a situation that costs you a lot. Share this with someone you know who needs to hear it. A neighbor, a sibling, a parent. Because the people who get hurt by these rules aren't the ones who knew about them. They're the ones nobody told. And now you know.